November monthly meeting. Let me turn off my speakers. There we go. We've got a busy month of December, so pay attention for a minute and then keep an eye on our website if you miss anything or if you want some more details. On Thursday, December 10th, we will be hosting our final social event of the year, which will be a practice for our traffic bowl. Join us for a night of fun and trivia to show off your traffic bowl knowledge and meet some of this year's student traffic bowl participants. The actual traffic bowl will be held on Wednesday, December 16th during lunch from 12 to 1. Please help us support both the Georgia Tech student chapters and the Georgia Southern student chapter as they compete head-to-head for the title this year. And then we'll qualify for the 2021 SDITE competition that is in Wilmington. 2 days after we determine the winner of our traffic bowl, Georgia ITE will be broadcasting our annual meeting. This will be a lot different than previous years. The board is working with our marketing and communications committee to pre-record a lot of the sections of this meeting, such as the award announcements and some of the distribution of our scholarships, so that we can keep this social distancing and make sure we keep everyone safe during all the information that we have for this meeting. We'll turn all that into a single broadcast that will be posted on Friday, December 18th. And as much as we would love to see everyone at Maggiano's, this will be virtual for you guys. That's the format that we determined was appropriate given the times. Please tune in to watch the annual meeting for a summary of all the activities that we were able to accomplish this year, which has been incredibly impressive as I start to put a summary together. It really demonstrates the amazing group of people that we have here in Georgia. We'll also announce all the award winners, the graduating class of our mentoring program for 2020, the 2020 scholarships, announce the election results, which you'll get to hear from all our potential board members in a few minutes, and from our future president and the goals and visions that they have for next year. More details and registration for this event is on the website. To all our excellent companies that support this group through sponsorships, we are looking at some different ways of how to modify the sponsorships for next year, since we do assume that some of our events will continue to be virtual at least through the spring. We hope to have that finalized soon and send out information through an e-blast and post it on the website within the next week or so. Winter Workshop is underway. It has been scheduled for March 8th and registration will be open at the beginning of December. We'll be hosting this event virtually since there is still so many unknowns over the next few months, but the planning committee has developed a strong technical program that is still being finalized. If you're interested in presenting and you haven't been contacted yet, you can still reach out to MD Shah Imran or Landon Perry, who are planning the Winter Workshop. Our engineering outreach committee is still looking for volunteers that are interested in doing virtual STEM presentations with one of the local schools. They've got a few templates and suggested topics if you need some ideas. Please reach out to one of our outreach committee chairs, either Robert Baker or Ramiro Santana, so they can partner you up with a school and arrange a date. The golf tournament that we typically hold in the fall obviously didn't happen. That has been rescheduled for April 2nd, 2021. Hopefully we can keep that date and all you golfers can get out there and play. And finally, our board elections are open, and today each candidate is going to get a chance to say a few words before we go into our technical program for today. I'll hand it over to Jody to introduce our candidates.
Thanks, Kate. And I guess one of the roles of past president, I also get to chair the nominations committee, and we've got a great group of candidates for the board this year, and we've really pushed to have more open and have more folks get involved in the board. So for the next few minutes, we're just going to go through each of the candidates. They've got really just 30 seconds to no more than a minute to kind of give you a background on themselves. If any of them have any sort of campaign speech, they can try to squeeze that in. But we'll start out with our candidate for president. There's one candidate for president, and that's Chris Maddox.
Thanks, Jody. As you heard Jody say, unfortunately, I'm your only option, but I hope that y'all can see me fit to help us guide us through 2021 and some of the challenges we expect to see. 2020 has been a very unusual year for us, and Kate has done an amazing job of battling these challenges, head on as they've come at us. And it's been a year of uncertainty and unique solutions to get through things. And I hope that y'all see me fit to continue to guide Georgia ITE to be the great chapter that it's been in 2020 and in years past through 2021 and try to find a new way to combat the new issues that we're seeing. A little bit about me. I am the current VP for Georgia ITE. I've been involved with ITE since I was an undergraduate student at Georgia Tech. It's been great to me. And I keep wanting to give more and more to it every year. So I look forward to an opportunity to serve as president for next year. So please vote for me. Thank you, Jody.
Thanks, Chris. Our next office is the vice president, and that's Meredith Emery. And Meredith, I don't believe, was able to join us today. So I'm just going to read her bio. Most of you know Meredith. Meredith is a 2011 graduate of Georgia Tech with almost 10 years of experience working with Kimley Horn in their transportation planning and traffic operations group. She's experienced in coordinating signal systems, as well as uncoordinated signal timing development, traffic signal design, fiber interconnect designs, and traffic impact analysis, along with a host of other things. She's currently program manager for RITSO for Region 2 for GDOT, and they're responsible for traffic signal operations in D3, 4, and part of District 7. As most of you have probably seen her more in her ITE capacity. Over the past 9 years, she's served the Georgia section in various roles, serving on multiple committees, as well as helping with summer seminar. She's currently serving as the secretary treasurer, so she's the one that's been sending out the e-blast to you this year, and she's a licensed engineer in Georgia, as well as a PTOE and IMSA level 2. So that is Meredith Emery. Our next office is secretary treasurer, and we have 2 candidates. The first candidate will be Christina Berry, and then the second one will be Robinson Nickel. So Christina, if you wanted to go ahead and give your intro.
Thanks, Jody. So good morning. As Jody said, my name is Christina Berry. I'm the District 6 traffic engineer for GDOT. I'm a graduate of Georgia Tech, and I've been involved with ITE since my time as a student. Recently, my involvement has included, I served as the chair for the mentorship program in 2018, and I served as the chair for the Winter Workshop Committee in 2020, so this year, and I'm still involved with that committee, and I've also participated on engineering outreach and the technical subcommittee, as well as the micro simulation subcommittee. I know there's been a lot of challenges this year with finding new ways to do things, and I feel like the board has done a really great job of leading Georgia ITE this year. And so I'm running for secretary treasurer just because I want to, get more involved with IT and help, with finding new ways to meet challenges in 2021. I want to partner with the committee chairs and getting the word out about their events, and see how we can, get the most out of STAR chapter and help it to work the best for us. So thank you.
Thanks, Christina. Up next, Robinson Nickel from Jacobs.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Robinson Nickel. Thanks for the time and the opportunity here to be nominated for this position as the Secretary Treasurer. And I've been working with Jacobs and been a member of ITE since 2006. I've been active in the last few years with chairing the technical committee, where we did a lot of webinars and went on the Northwest Corridor tour a couple of years ago, which was pretty cool. And then most recently, I've been involved with the summer seminar. So working with Meredith the year before in 2019, and then with Bill Rusum this year. So I've been experienced with, different roles in this organization. And I've really enjoyed, getting to be a part of it and serve in those different roles and get to know everybody. So I'm grateful for the nomination, and hopefully I can serve next year as Secretary Treasurer. Thanks.
Thanks, Robinson. So we have the two candidates for Secretary Treasurer. Next, we're going to move on to our section representative to the Southern District. So as part of the conversion this year and the change in bylaws, we actually went back to only having 2 representatives at the Southern District. Kelly Patrick is the other representative, and it's actually a 2-year term, so it will be alternating each year. We will be electing one. Kelly Patrick is finishing her first year, so she'll be serving next year. And then one of the 5 individuals you're about to meet will be serving the starting their 2-year term this coming year. So first, we're going to hear from Sean Coleman.
All right, thank you, Jody. Truly honored to be nominated to serve Georgia ITE as section representative to the Southern District, alongside this prestigious and intimidating group of nominees. Those that know me know that I am very passionate about ITE and serving this incredible organization. And while either serving as summer seminar chair or previously on the board or as president in 2016, I'm just most proud that we're just consistently looked at as a model IT section for the entire organization. And we've continually raised our brand, even in a pandemic, as the go-to organization for transportation professionals in Georgia. And I'm very proud that we've continually substantially increased our young member participation. And it's just so exciting to always be surrounded by such passionate people in this industry and with this organization. And if I'm fortunate to be back on the board again, I'll utilize my old guy experience and relationships throughout all of ITE and Southern District to advocate for Georgia, advocate for Georgia ITE and the professional development of our membership. So thank you again. Very honored to have this nomination.
Thanks, Sean. Next up, Shannon Fain.
All right. Sean, good speech there. I will use the older person history with this. My name is Shannon Fain, if you don't know me, and I am the head of global transportation and planning for AirSage. So the entire point of my job is to get out and build relationships, meet with potential clients, potential partners. So I have a lot of experience here in the Southeast US in particular, meeting with people in all the states pretty much. I've been very active in ITE since undergrad 22 years ago. And I've been extremely active in the ITE chapter here in Georgia for about 13 years. And I can say after being around other ITE chapters, ours blows them out of the water, and I'd love to help for us to continue doing that. Okay. And one thing I'd like to point out is I looked up all of my opponents. They all only paid $750 in taxes last year. So take that how you want it.
Thank you, Shannon. Next up will be Sam Harris from GDOT.
Thanks, Jody. I want to thank everybody for this nomination. Really honored. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Sam Harris. I work for Georgia Department of Transportation. I'm the State Safety Engineering Manager. I'm pretty involved with ITE. I serve as the chair for the Safety Committee. I'm on several other committees, technical, microsimulation. I'm pretty much wherever anyone sends me an email or calls me and says, hey, can you help out with this? My answer is always usually yes. So I'm very passionate for ITE all the way back to when I was a part of the Georgia Tech chapter. And I'm going to do something really kind of unorthodox here in terms of what usually you would see, especially in the political atmosphere. But I want to go ahead and endorse all the other candidates that are in this nomination pool for me. I know all of them, and they're all really great people, and it really speaks volumes to our chapter that we have such an awesome alignment of people ready to go and ready to be willing to be nominated. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to the next person. Thanks, Jody.
Thanks, Sam. Holly Painter.
Hey everyone, I'm Holly Painter. I'm with KCI Technologies. I have about 15 years experience in transportation. I've been a member of Georgia ITE since moving to Georgia in 2009. I've had the opportunity to hold several positions in these years, including activities co-chair and chair, legislative committee member, and affiliate director. I also went through the mentoring program with many people on this call. I've been volunteering for summer seminar, starting with the volleyball chair for 7 years, technical committee member for 6 years, and registration chair in 2019. I don't plan on giving up now, but it's been a good ride. I had the distinct opportunity to be on the local arrangements committee for planning of the 2014 Southern District Conference here in Georgia as well. I'm very honored to be nominated for this position, and I look forward to the opportunity to represent Georgia at the Southern District rep level. I miss each and every one of you, and I'm going to give you a big COVID hug because I'm a hugger. Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. I miss you. Hey, puppy.
Thanks, Holly. Elizabeth Shaw from Roswell.
Hey, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. I'm a transportation engineer with the city of Roswell. So a little different from everyone else's background, and definitely one of the younger members to be nominated for this position. Currently, I serve as the clerk to the board of directors. So I look forward to serving the board in either role that I get. I also have been involved over the past 3 or 4 years with international ITE on both the executive committee for TISMO and currently as the public agency executive committee. So if I were to be elected to the Southern District representative, I think with the international connection that I could help bring in some of our members from Georgia ITE, not only to be in the district level, but also the international level. Thank you so much for the nomination.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So of those candidates, you get to make the hard decision of picking one. Well, next we're going to go to a new position on the board. This is a board member at large. So as I mentioned, we've with the new bylaws, we lost one of our section reps, as well as having lost the affiliate director position on the board. So we've actually gone through and created some new board positions to try to keep our numbers the same on the board, because it is a big organization. So one of those new positions is the board member at large. And I believe Kate has mentioned kind of the role of this position, but they'll be really taking on some of the special assignments based on their background and some of the needs that the board has. They'll be both representing you as the membership, but also taking on some of those special assignments on the board. So we have 3 candidates. We're going to start out with Ty Alexander from AECOM.
Hey, thanks, Jody. I'm Ty Alexander. I'm a traffic engineer at AECOM. I've been with AECOM since I graduated from Clemson in 2011. Go Tigers. I'd like to serve on the Georgia IT board to make a difference in the industry that I've really enjoyed being a part of the past 9 years. I've been a part of ITE and gone through the leadership program. Most recently, I co-chaired the ITE Technical Exchange with Clemson and South Carolina chapters. This was a great experience during which I met and worked with some outstanding people. I'd like to continue to get more involved and volunteer my time by serving on the Georgia ITE board. So I'd appreciate a vote from you so I can continue to give back and serve our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Ty. Up next, Alan Davis, GDOT.
Thanks, Jody. I'm Alan Davis. I'm currently serving as the Assistant State Traffic Engineer with Georgia DOT. It is a real honor to be up for consideration for this position with the board. This organization has meant a lot to me in the time I've been in Georgia. I'll remember back to my first meeting where I heard Todd Long delivering a message right after the TIA vote failed, and everybody in that room was in a very good mood. But more importantly, I'll remember how many of you welcomed me into this professional community with open arms, and I hope to continue to serve IT to ensure that that community is sustained and it grows. All these relationships that we have from this membership are essential, and I hope that I can help to continue to promote that in this role. ITE has also been a great technical resource, and my hope is that Georgia ITE continues to be the place for technical resources and expertise in this industry. Lastly, I'll take Sam's lead, or follow Sam's lead, and mention that you're all fortunate to have 3 great choices for this board position. You can't go wrong. Thank you, and go Gamecocks, Ty.
Oh boy, so a little most schools don't get their rivalry games this year, so I guess we'll play it out through the ITE voting. Last but not least, for the at-large position, Paul Sloan, also with AECOM.
Thanks, Jody, and thanks to the nomination committee for opening this up to me again this year. I'd like to just open up by saying I've been involved with ITE at various levels for the last 26 years. That seems like forever. It's gone by so fast. Beginning my work in Kentucky, when I worked in the public sector with the transportation cabinet, I served various roles, including the board, going through the officer rotation there, serving as a director prior to moving to Georgia. And I've been very well entrenched with Georgia IT sense. To echo what Sean said, I mean, I will carry the ITE flag everywhere I go. I go back and tell my friends exactly what we do and how we do it in order to help bring up some of the other state sections. For me, working at the state level is obviously where we make the biggest impact, grow the most relationships. I've also worked with Southern District, presenting at the Southern District annual meeting numerous times, 8 or 9 times, and also planned the 2012 meeting that happened in Lexington. What I love about this group is the diversity of the group: men, women, all races, multicultural, multidisciplinary. We're not all traffic engineers. We've got planners. We got roadway people. We collaborate with other sister organizations within the state. We're also multi-generational. And for me, you know, seeing such a young, enthusiastic group, we almost have competition every year to see who can, you know, volunteer first for something. And that's really contagious. And that's what I really love about this group. And having served on the board a couple of years ago as one of the section reps, that was by far and away the most fun thing I've ever done for any ITE level of the organization. So again, I'm honored. I would appreciate your vote and would like to help lead the board, particularly in the next couple of years, as Georgia will soon be hosting again the 2023 Southern District meeting. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. And as many as have mentioned, we're very fortunate in Georgia to have so many great candidates and such a tight group that so many of these people you already know because you've worked with them. Many of them that you probably call friends. But they will be joining 2 other board members, Kate Sharon, who will be the immediate past president, and also Kenny Voorhees, who is serving in one of the new board positions that is a past president position, and that is a position that's nominated by the president but selected by the current past president. So that body gets together and votes on a candidate who they then put forward to the president, who nominates them to serve on the board, and that's a non-voting position. So I encourage you guys to all vote. You should have received the email from the info at gaite.org. That has your ballot in there. Everybody, please go out and vote, and be sure that you have a say in the board going forward. And with that, I think the next thing on our agenda is recognizing our sponsor. Outside of all the great volunteers that we have in this organization, our sponsors are what financially make this organization move forward. And Michael Baker is our meeting sponsor for this month. And I believe Bill Rusum is here to represent Michael Baker, and he's going to give us a little bit of an update on them. So Bill, take it away.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. You know, my name is Bill Rusum. I'm the traffic department head for Michael Baker in Georgia and Tennessee, and we're very happy to sponsor Georgia ITE and the important mission that our section continues to do. As you know, some of the officer candidates mentioned, we're one of the premier chapters in the country, and we want to keep that up, and sponsorships are good for that. I want to tell you a little bit about Michael Baker. You know, we are designers, engineers, planners, and scientists, and I just want to show you some of the recent things we have completed. We just ground broke the Peachtree Corners pedestrian bridge across Peachtree Parkway. That was 2 days ago. We were really proud to be part of that signature project for Peachtree Corners. Unless you think we only do bridges, we also revitalize intersections around Georgia. This one is Gwinnett County near Brookwood High School. We also do concept studies for our clients. We worked with the PCIDs to come up with a future intersection concept for the intersection of Johnson Ferry at Peachtree Dunwoody Road. Right now, we are looking at this one for potential future design and costs. And we are also a full service planning and traffic engineering firm. This is the 6 West development, just west of downtown College Park, and immediately under the flight path for Hartsfield-Jackson. The area in question has been largely vacant since the 70s, when the city of Atlanta and the FAA acquired the majority of properties in the area due to the impacts of the airport. Now the city envisions a redevelopment similar to Avalon and others in the region, and we help them take the first steps. And of course, that was just a small sample of everything we worked on in the recent years, which comprises a whole bunch of stuff. Now, that was my Project Splash presentation. Let me give you a quick overview of Michael Baker. If you don't know, we are a full-service engineering firm. National, we provide consulting, program design, planning, architectural, environmental, construction, program management across the US and internationally with our federal partners. We employ more than 3,000 employees in 100 locations, or almost 100 locations, and including 3 offices here in Georgia. And this year is our 80th anniversary. We partner, well, I skipped. Sorry. We partner with clients on everything from roads, bridges, tunnels, mass transit, airports, Arctic oil pipelines, and we have been consistently ranked in the top of the ENR reports. This year, we were 31 out of 500 and 12th in transportation. I just had to show the Peachtree Corners Bridge again because we're very happy with that one. Locally, we provide all the same services that Michael Baker does nationally, with possible exception of Arctic petroleum pipelines. We've been a major player in design builds here in Georgia since the beginning of the program, and we extended that role to be the GDOT GEC on the biggest design build contracts that have been let by the state to date. That includes the Northwest Corridor managed lanes on I-75 and 575, and the 285-400 interchange project, the I-85 widenings phase 1, and I-1695, which is ongoing right now. And of course, we provide all the services necessary to deliver projects to GDOT, local counties and cities and other entities. We do this through a dedicated team of professionals right here in Norcross and Alpharetta, as well as our new office in Savannah. Now, everybody memorize the org chart because there's going to be a quiz. More specific to ITE is our traffic department. We have 4 professionals who specialize in local work and 75 other PEs and PTOEs around the country that we regularly draw on for specialized support. From the left of this chart, we have Josh Williams, who a lot of you probably know. He is our primary ITS and signal design manager, spending his time on local and national ITS projects. In fact, he may be wishing for more local projects to work on, as his services have been in great demand across the country right now. Kelly Corey has been involved in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina projects her entire career, and she specializes in signal design, traffic analyses, signing and marking, and design build support. Our very newest team member is Mary Eads, who recently joined us. I look forward to the time when I can introduce her to you all in person. Hopefully that is soon. She specializes in traffic studies and signal design, and due to the nature of how our local office works with our roadway group, we'll be drawing up concept plans in the very near future. And of course, there's me. I specialize in traffic studies, both small and large, signing and marking design, and I know just enough about signal design to be dangerous to everyone around me. I'm also the 2021 summer seminar chair, so you're going to be hearing more from me come next year. We're very happy to sponsor ITE, and we look forward to continuing that sponsorship into the future. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Kate.
Thanks, Bill. So our technical program today is a series of young member spotlights to highlight some of the projects that our young members have taken on since graduating and joining our industry. To start off, we're going to go with Sunjun Park. He's from South Korea, but lived almost half his life in Vietnam. He did his undergrad in civil engineering and graduate in transportation engineering, both at Georgia Tech. He's currently working as a traffic engineer at Jacobs, largely involved in traffic studies and modeling. The biggest joy in his life is traveling, which unfortunately has not been the best hobby to have in current circumstances. So he started playing tennis, golf, and hiking. Go ahead, Sun. If you're speaking, you might be on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Sorry for that. My name is Sungjun Park, and I'm a traffic engineer with Jacobs. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share some of my work with IT community. And in this session, I would like to share a study I did on the sensitivity analysis of diverging diamond interchange. And in this presentation, I'll go over the objective of the study, followed by methodology, results, and conclusion. So the objective of this study was to analyze traffic conditions in which a diverging diamond interchange, DDI, outperforms a conventional diamond interchange, CDI, and vice versa. And at the time of the study, there were limited guidance or criteria to provide conditions that justify the conversion of a CDI into a DDI. So this study was initiated to support better decision-making process of considering a DDI as an interchange alternative. For the study, the methodology was processed in two-step procedures. The first step was the critical lane volume, or CLV analysis, which calculates the capacity and demand of critical movements and calculate VC ratio of an interchange as the comparison parameters. The advantage of this method is that it allows the evaluation of large number of samples with relatively quickly and reasonable reliability. So it was able to perform the evaluation of large number of traffic scenarios, but it also has a downside, which is that the only parameter that it can measure is the VC ratio, so it cannot provide the complete operational picture. And that's when the second methodology comes in, which is the microscopic simulation study using VISIM. Unlike CLV analysis, VISIM analysis is capable of collecting numerous operational parameters, including average delay per vehicle and throughput, which allows to show the more complete operational picture and able to confirm the results from CLV analysis. But unlike CLV analysis, the simulation study tends to be more time consuming. So we selected a specific traffic scenarios to confirm the results from CLV analysis. And the picture here shows some of the VISIM models used in this study. The top picture is the CDI, and the bottom picture displays the VISIM model for the DDI. And Synchro was used for the optimization of signal timing. For both methodologies, 3-lane configurations were tested to see the effect of different number of lanes on cross street to the operation of each interchange design. The first lane configuration was derived from the real-life example of before and after interchange configurations at Jimmy Carter Boulevard, located in Gwinnett County. The second configuration is 6-lane bridge segment with 2 throughs and a left turn lane on each approach. The last lane configuration tested had the most number of lanes on cross street with 8-lane bridge of 2 throughs and 2 left turn lanes. Various demand scenarios were also tested, and they were the combination of through left volume proportions ranging from 100% to 0%, and various cross street and off ramp volumes ranging from low to high as shown in this table. And combination of this scenarios totaled in 161 traffic scenarios tested in this study. But as mentioned earlier, because simulation study is more time consuming, only selected number of scenarios for cross street and off ramp volumes were tested, as shown in the dark font in this table. Next, I would like to share the results of the study. The charts in this slide shows the results from the CLV analysis, where the y-axis shows the difference in VC ratio of CDI and DDI, calculated from VC ratio of CDI minus the VC ratio of DDI, which means that the data points in the negative zone means that the VC ratio of CDI is lower than that of DDI, meaning it performs better. And those in the positive zone tells the opposite story, that the DDI performs better. And from this data, we figured out that the CDI tends to perform better than DDI when the left turn proportion is less than 30% in lane configuration 1 and 2, while in lane configuration 3 with the most number of lanes, this breakpoint was around the through left proportion of 50-50. This also means that the capacity of CDI is more sensitive to the number of lanes than that in DDI. And we also found that the advantage of DDI is amplified at higher demands, which are presented in darker colored data points in the charts. And as you see, in the positive zone, those darker colored data points have bigger difference in VC ratio of the two, which means that the DDI performs a lot better than CDI. And in the negative zone is closer to 0, which means that the advantage of CDI has degraded in higher demands. Similar charts are plotted for the results from this sim study. But in here, the parameters are the average delay per vehicle and throughput, where the dotted lines represent the throughput of CDI and DDI, and the solid line represent the average delay per vehicle, with x-axis being the through left proportion. And from here, the overall trend is similar to those found in the CLV analysis, where CDI outperforms DDI at left turn proportion below 30 to 50% in all lane configurations. However, the difference between two methodologies were found that the relative difference in performance between CDI and DDI is greater in the simulation study than those found in the CLV analysis. And this is due to CLV analysis incapability to reflect the synchronization of the intersections and complex lane configurations and utilizations on the bridge. So from this study, we figured out a specific traffic conditions in which either CDI or DDI performs better than the other. And for CDI, it tends to be favored over DDI at left turn proportion less than 30 to 50%. And its advantage tends to be higher when the cross street volume is lower. On the other hand, DDI tends to perform better at medium to high traffic volumes on cross street, with left turn proportion exceeding 50%. And we also found out that the capacity of CDI is more sensitive to the different lane configurations, meaning that with more number of lanes on the cross street, CDI manages to operate at similar level to DDI at higher left turn proportion. And that I'll close the presentation, and I don't know if we have time for questions.
I think we'll do questions at the end.
Okay.
So up next, we have Pratiti Khan. Pratiti Khan is a transportation engineer in the Transportation Planning Group of Adkins. He has over 4 years of roadway design and traffic analysis experience involving traffic engineering studies, road safety audits, traffic operations and safety analysis of freeway and surface streets, and safety and operations improvement concept designs. He received his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Georgia Tech. He served as a volunteer organizing Georgia ITE Micro Simulation Day and was one of the presenters at Green Acres Elementary in Georgia ITE STEM Day in 2019. Take it away.
Hey, Pratiti, if you're talking, you might be on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
We got you now.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, all. This is Pratiti Khan. I'll share my experience in traffic forecasting during a pandemic. Before I move on to my presentation, I would like to thank Georgia IT for giving me this awesome opportunity to present in front of you all. Little bit about myself. I'm from Bangladesh, home of the magnificent Royal Bengal tiger. Moved to the US in 2011 and Atlanta, Georgia is home since then. I'm a yellow jacket, graduated from Georgia Tech in fall of 2015. I started my career as a roadway designer. However, because of my deeper interest in traffic operations and transportation planning, I changed my roles. Now I'm an engineer in the transportation planning group of Atkins for the last 2 years. Outside of work, I enjoy watching movies, gardening, and here you can see some beans, eggplants, grapes, and a hiding tomato from my garden this year. My most favorite thing for the last 3 months is spending time with my son Arish, and it's him, my little pumpkin, during this Halloween. Moving to the topic, we are going through a pandemic, coronavirus pandemic. The first US case identified in January of this year. National emergency was declared in March 13, and we are practicing social distancing to slow down the spread. Social distancing is causing less traffic and new traffic pattern. The pandemic has changed our lives. However, life goes on. While in college, the textbook problems were difficult sometimes, real life problems is difficult many times. Textbook problems may have had a few approaches and however, it had only one answer. In real life, we have many perspectives and approaches can be different and answers can vary as well. I'll share my experience in traffic forecasting during the pandemic. Everyone has a different perspective and there will be different approaches. I will share my struggle for the direction, adoption, things learned, and I'll end with some interesting findings during the process. Struggle for direction. Traffic forecasting is always about predicting future traffic condition. Now, forecasting during the pandemic for a future when there is no pandemic, hopefully there is no pandemic at that time. What is post-pandemic future? Will it be different and how? We do not know the answer. We can just predict the future with some assumptions. Current traffic patterns are different, but still we need to plan for the projects. Traffic counts during the pandemic need careful reviews and adjustment. We must adapt with our professional judgment, which is not only science, but also an art. We utilize GDOT's traffic analysis and data application TADA count for pre-COVID-19 condition, collected tube count during COVID-19 at the location where TADA count is available within the project area, collected turning movement counts as needed for the project. Finding COVID factor is the first adjustment process, and we can see the process in the flowchart. Get most recent TADA count from, get most recent TADA count before pandemic, apply growth factor to pre-pandemic count to forecast existing year traffic, compare collected post-pandemic tube count at that same location, and get the factor, which I'm calling COVID factor, from each peak hour. Process 2, the second adjustment process is adjusting the TMC by COVID factor. We would identify TADA historic traffic hour, then identify the TADA peak hours in the existing year TMC, apply peak hour COVID factors, and thus we can get the adjusted TMC. Things learned during the process, a review of GDOT historic count locations prior to pandemic traffic count collection is very critical. Existing peak hour may vary and it may have shifted. 2 COVID factors for 2 peak hours. Peak hour should be selected based on the historic count instead of existing traffic count. Now, some interesting findings during the pandemic. From TADA, I collected 24 hours traffic from Tuesday to Thursday for the month of August in 2019 and 2020 at a permanent county station on I-285 north of Memorial Drive. Then process the data to get daily traffic for both directions. In the graph, the navy blue line is presenting the pre-COVID traffic and cyan is presenting the post-pandemic traffic. From the graph, we can see the AM peak hour occurs later in the day and the volume decreased during the pandemic. And PM peak hour remains similar with an earlier trail off with a lower volume. Not in the graph, however, we have seen 7% decrease in the northbound and 11% decrease in southbound daily traffic during the pandemic. During the analysis, I also analyzed the traffic based on air class. We have seen something very interesting for truck traffic, especially for the heavy trucks. The total heavy truck traffic increased by 2% and noticeable increase during the peak hours. In the AM, the heavy truck traffic increased 10%, and in the PM, it increased by 8%. That's a lot. We think what's going on here is the trucks that used to avoid I-285 during peak hour came back to I-285 as it became more efficient route during pandemic. That concludes my presentation. I would take questions. I guess that will happen later.
Yeah, we'll do questions at the end.
Okay.
So next up, we've got Patrick McArdle. Patrick graduated from, I'm going to mess this up, Valparaiso University in May 2018. He has worked for Pond for 2 years as a transportation engineer. He has had experience with traffic analysis, traffic forecasting, transportation planning, and public involvement. Take it away, Patrick.
All right. Can y'all hear me, see my screen?
You can?
Okay, great. So I'm Patrick McArdle. I'm with Pond. Thank you all for listening to me here. I'm gonna go a little bit into this project I did, corridor study on Jimmy Carter Boulevard and Mountain Industrial Boulevard. Y'all are probably familiar with this corridor if you're from the Atlanta area. It's a congested corridor, even in the existing conditions. We analyzed 34 locations as a part of this study, from Peachtree Industrial Boulevard all the way down to Ponce de Leon Avenue, using Synchro software. In order to forecast existing 2019 volumes to 2050 volumes, we looked at historical growth data, travel demand model data, and growth rates used from previous studies. I'm not going to bog you down too much with this, but we ended up with a 1 to 1.25% growth rate for various locations along the corridor in order to develop our future volumes. So as you can see here, I've mapped out what the Synchro results were for level of service for our forecasted 2050 conditions. There's general congestion throughout the corridor, but especially the area around the I-85 interchange was the most congested. And that's what I'm gonna explain in more detail for this presentation, because I could probably talk for 2 hours about this entire corridor. So this area, this area has some unique challenges. The area is very developed. That makes right-of-way purchasing very expensive, and the intersections are closely spaced, which means that it's not really a solution to just add lanes to meet the demand, because your ultimate goal in a corridor study, a traffic engineering project, is to propose something that can actually be built, not just get something to work in Synchro. So we had to try and find solutions that were feasible for this area, and didn't necessitate general widening or an obscene amount of turning lanes. So what solutions did we arrive at? Well, for the segment from Brook Hollow Parkway to Goshen Springs Road, we decided first and foremost that an R-cut was probably the right alternative for the Goshen Springs Road intersection. That intersection is very close to the I-85 interchange. It interacts with that interchange, creating general congestion both at that intersection and at the interchange. And the traffic using that roadway has connectivity with Brook Hollow Parkway further to the north. So you're not really losing a lot of connectivity by restricting that intersection. And it helps with the general operations, helps that intersection perform better, helps the interchange perform better. Now, in order to accommodate that diverted traffic as well as traffic growth and general expected future volumes, Brook Hollow Parkway, at Brook Hollow Parkway, we recommended a quadrant intersection in the Northwest Corridor using the existing Financial Drive roadway. Now, this allows us to divert the heavy southbound left movement from that intersection, and that therefore provide a lot more green time for the other movements, allowing it to accommodate the expected traffic volumes at an acceptable level of service. A positive thing about this alternative is it utilizes the existing infrastructure of the area, so it doesn't require expensive right-of-way purchases or construction other than a couple of signals and maybe some additional turn lanes if those are determined to be needed in the future. But it makes the best of what is already out there and is one of the more feasible alternatives for this location that we analyzed. The next section of this sub-corridor, as I'll call it, is the Jimmy Carter at I-85 interchange. Now, we are not going to sit here and tell you that we discovered the solution to this interchange in this corridor study. This location will require a more in-depth, full interchange study to come to a conclusion. But we did analyze some alternatives that show that they may be promising. We analyzed a single point urban interchange, which they generally work pretty well when there's large through and left turning volumes at interchanges. We analyzed widening the existing diverging diamond interchange, which also reached an acceptable level of service, and analyzing a return to a traditional diamond interchange with a loop ramp, which also worked well. But we were performing the analysis using Synchro. It really probably needs to be performed using micro simulation, and we feel good about these alternatives, but there's definitely more work to be done at this location. Moving along, the segment from Oakbrook Parkway to Live Oak Parkway. This is a very interesting location. A lot of challenges. It's extremely developed, very high traffic volumes, even in existing conditions similar to the interchange. There's a lot of congestion at this location. And so what do you do? Well, we came up with the idea that to build a grade separated movement, reconnect Oakbrook Parkway and McDonough Parkway, which were disconnected as a part of the DDI project, and allow through movements only at this location. And then also prohibit through movements from Live Oak Parkway. And this helps Live Oak Parkway operate a lot better. Obviously, there will be no congestion at the overpass or underpass. It's just a through movement only, no turning movements, no traffic conflicts. And it, again, allows you to utilize existing infrastructure. You can use the existing roadway facility of Oakbrook and McDonough Parkway to the north to provide this traffic relief, and you can use the existing pavement that is currently accommodating through traffic at Live Oak Parkway and Dawson Boulevard to add additional turn lanes without having to expand massively and buy a lot of right-of-way and build a lot of construction. It also has the benefit of providing economic benefit to area local businesses. Those businesses in this northeast quadrant really only have that right in, right out that goes directly to the I-85 northbound movement. So providing this connectivity, allowing them to travel to and from other parts of the sub area is it provides a great benefit to those businesses in addition to traffic relief. Other alternatives we analyzed at this intersection include a center turn overpass, which is a very interesting idea of grade separating all of the left turns from the intersection and then bringing them back down and merging them in with the through traffic, and a continuous flow interchange or a median intersection or a median U-turn intersection, which involve separating left turns and crossing them over at various points in the intersection. However, because of the close proximity to the interchange, the highly developed right-of-way or highly developed area and expensive right-of-way, we determined that the overpass, underpass, and restricted through movements was probably the best solution. Thank you all for listening to me. Thank you to ITE for giving me this opportunity. That's all I have.
Okay, next up, we've got Andrew Lewis. Andrew is a traffic analyst at Arcadis. He's been working with the traffic group at Arcadis full-time since graduating from Georgia Tech in May 2019. During that time, his focus has been on traffic modeling to support GDOT planning studies and other capital improvement projects. Take it away, Andrew.
Thanks, Kate. Like Kate said, my name is Andrew. I'm a traffic analyst at Arcadis. Today I'll be talking about the I-85 Pell study. I won't go too much into my background here, but I graduated last May from Georgia Tech with a bachelor's in civil engineering. And after kind of bopping around and doing a few different internships, landed at Arcadis, found passion working on traffic analysis with them and working with the people on the team. So the project I'm going to be talking about is the I-85 Pell study. I'm actually very interested. I'll have to touch base with you, Patrick, after this call. Very similar area, and we've also, as you can see, been looking at that same interchange. So basically, what the I-85 Pell study is, so Pell here stands for Planning and Environmental Linkages. So it's kind of a variation on traditional planning study, where we try to take some of the project level analysis that would happen in like the NEPA process and fold that into the planning study to try to streamline project delivery. As far as what we're actually studying, you can see here the map of the I-85 corridor. Basically the 18-mile stretch northeast of Atlanta from the outer perimeter 285 to its interchange with 985 in the north side of Gwinnett County. Basically the whole study area here, almost all of it is inside Gwinnett County. And actually the study is co-funded and co-led by Georgia DOT and the Gwinnett County DOT. Between this and the Pell study framework, it allows us to do a little bit more than we would with just a traditional planning structure with traditional planning funds. So this study here, basically just trying to make improvements. It's a long-range study. I've been working on this for more than the past year. Unfortunately, I don't have results or even as much of answers as Patrick had to share, but do want to talk a little bit about what we've done so far and my experience working on it. So the first thing that we dove into was to take a look at the existing conditions as well as kind of projected future conditions of the corridor and to identify the needs of the corridor before really being able to do anything else. So we did volume development for this. We did traffic modeling. We used a tool called FreeVal. For those of you familiar with the Highway Capacity Manual's freeway facilities methodology, it's basically what FreeVal uses, very similar to HCS freeway facility methodology. So, we built our FreeVal model of the whole 18-mile corridor and calibrated that to the existing speed data that we had from RIDIS. And after calibrating that model, used the growth rates that we had developed for 2030 and 2050 no-build years to take a look at the no-build conditions on the corridor. And then to kind of identify these existing future conditions and the needs assessment, we folded those traffic results into all the other disciplines that we looked at: crash analysis, road weight efficiencies. We did a human factor analysis, looked at demographics and land use, and did environmental screening. And that was cool to kind of step out of the models and the numbers and start looking big picture at what what these models are telling us, what that means, how it fits into these other disciplines, to work closely with roadway designers and with planners, even our environmental team, kind of look at things comprehensively has been cool. I did want to share a little bit of results. So these speed heat maps here are basically the speed, the congestion on the corridor. So on the left, we've got our southbound heat maps, basically starting from the top and driving southbound through the corridor. So this here on the left is the heat map from that RIDIS speed data that we gathered. And then on the right side is from our calibrated free val model. So you can see here in the southbound direction, it's really where demand from State Route 316 merges in with 85 southbound, that we really see a bottleneck here that's basically affecting the southbound morning operations. And these heat maps here on the right are for the northbound direction. Again, the RIDIS speed data, and then our calibrated free val model, with the primary bottleneck in the northbound direction being between Spaghetti Junction and basically the Jimmy Carter interchange, or a little bit up to the Indian Trail interchange, which is to be expected. One thing that we'll see here, just kind of looking at how this changes, is projected to change to 2030 and to 2050. You can see a lot more congestion coming out in the southbound and new bottlenecks emerging, which is really helpful to know what's not currently a problem, but will become a problem. With the northbound, you don't see as much changing just because of how severe this bottleneck is here between 285 and Jimmy Carter. And even as the demand increases and increases to 2030 and to 2050, what we really see is just a decrease in how much of that demand is actually able to get through without it necessarily changing so much in terms of congestion and travel times, speeds on the corridor. Just to flash up here, basically the travel times that we're seeing. So for the southbound morning peak hours, that's from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. From 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Seeing basically 32 minutes to travel the entire southbound facility. That's 18 miles. So that would be basically 22 minutes if you were traveling at free flow speed. And we see that going up as high as 42 minutes by 2050. For the northbound, similar, we see 28 minutes to make the travel the entire corridor, in 2019 compared to, again, a 22-minute free flow travel time. And we see that growing up to about 34 minutes by 2050. So similar to what we were seeing in the heat maps, not as pronounced of a change into the future years for the northbound, just because of the bottleneck there at 285 from what we're seeing. So I won't get into basically all of the needs assessment that we did, but we basically pulled together all of these different results with the different disciplines and actually tried to hammer down to the root causes of what's happening on the corridor and what needs to be changed to see improvements. And then we moved into alternative development. So we put a lot of time and effort into thinking of every possible thing we could do to improve I-85. We came out with 1,200 different ideas, which is a lot, and put a lot of thought into basically distilling those 1,200 ideas into 204 distinct alternatives to go into our three-tier screening process. So the screening process is going to be basically 3 tiers of screening, where at each tier we take a smaller list of better defined, better developed alternatives and give them a more robust analysis. So we're currently in that tier 1 screening. So that's that highest level of screening and analysis. And just to share here, of those 204 alternatives that we have that can't really go through quite yet, but I do want to share that we have these basically broken out into 6 categories. And you can see already how diverse this list of improvements is and kind of what we're able to do, like I said, with the study structure that we have, looking at managed lane system improvements, freeway and interchange improvements, arterial improvements, a lot of those things that Patrick was just talking about at Jimmy Carter, thinking about very similar improvements, looking at multimodal options, looking at policy changes and smart infrastructure, and add-on improvements. I'll just leave off saying My focus right now has been using that same free-val model, that macroscopic simulation, to evaluate the basically 45 different freeway and interchange improvements that we're considering in Tier 1. So not as many results or data to share as some of the other presentations, but it's a very exciting study, and it's been cool to see it progress, and it'll continue progressing for the next couple of years, probably. So stay tuned. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Andrew. So we have one more speaker today, Ramiro Santana. Ramiro joined Kimley Horn's Transportation Planning and Traffic Operations Group in Atlanta, Georgia in July 2018, following graduation from Georgia Tech in May. He had previously interned with the firm during his final year in college. His transportation experience mostly involves traffic signal timing in RITSO, Region 2, and special event management through RTOP. As of recent, Ramiro has been working on signal upgrade designs in GDOT's District 3 and 4. Outside of the office, he enjoys playing basketball, reading nonfiction, spending time with friends and family, and watching The Office before it leaves Netflix at the end of the year. Take it away, Ramiro.
Thank you, Kate. And I also want to thank Georgia ITE and Tyler Peak from GDOT District 3 for the nomination and giving me the opportunity to present on the I-75 construction coordination efforts that we've been working on throughout this year. But before I get to the topic, I'll discuss a little bit about myself. I was born in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. So I am technically a Atlanta transplant since I started attending Georgia Tech in 2013. During my time at Georgia Tech, I worked a few internships trying to figure out what career path I wanted to take, thinking that I wanted to be a structural engineer. But it wasn't until my final year at Georgia Tech that I found out that transportation is really what I wanted to pursue for a career path. And I started working with Kimley Horn as a part-time intern during that final year at Georgia Tech, and that sort of became a full-time opportunity. But since then, I've had the opportunity to continue to visit Puerto Rico, to spend time with family, friends, and even get to work from our Puerto Rico office, as seen on the picture on the right. Now, a little bit about my experience in internship with Kimley Horn. I was working part-time throughout my fall and spring semester at Georgia Tech as a fifth-year student, and that was where around the time that I was exposed to the traffic signal timing, mainly through the RTOP and RITSO programs. But I also got a little bit of exposure working as a special events management, providing some traffic support. And I put this quote up from C.S. Lewis about experience, that experience the most brutal of teachers, but you learn, my God, do you learn? Because I didn't really have any experience in transportation before starting at Georgia Tech, before starting at Kimley Horn, that famous transportation course with Dr. Hunter that everybody takes as an alum at Georgia Tech. I had not taken it until my fall semester of my final year at Georgia Tech. So everything that I started working with at Kimley Horn was fairly new to me, but it felt like a great learning curve. And thanks to all the support and all the training that I got, it led me to where I am today. So in between my part-time internship and started full-time, I spent some time back home and did a little bit of a graduation trip to Colombia and Peru. And then I came back to Kimley Horn full-time in July of 2018. And that was where I continued working in the RTOP and RITSO programs. But I also had some exposure doing some traffic engineering studies, especially the GDOT operations on-call project, as well as some signal design. I also provide some Spanish translation work for our transportation planning team as part of their community outreach efforts. Now, one of the projects I want to talk about is the RITSO, otherwise known as the Regional Traffic Signal Operations. And Kimley Horn is a prime on the Region 2 area. And so if I were to break it down in sort of the work that we do into 4 categories, they are signal timing, district on-call requests, proactive signal management, and technician support. Now, our firm doesn't have any technicians, but we rely on GDOT and some of our subs to provide that sort of field support at the traffic signals. But the I-75 construction project sort of started as a request from the district, and then we sort of employed some of our proactive management studies so that way we're prepared and are able to attend any emergencies that may arise. And this is sort of the team that we've got that has helped and contributed in one way or another in the Rizzo project. Now, talking a little bit more about the construction projects itself, there are 4 of them that have started sometime after the summer of this year. And we sort of, before any of them started, had come up with a game plan, which consisted of coming up with some flush plans for coordinated corridors, as well as implementing some dynamic max operations for the uncoordinated or free signals. So if you're unfamiliar with the dynamic max operation, that means that whenever a certain phase maxes out more than 3 times in a row, that'll increase the max green up a certain amount that you've also set in the database. So in a lot of ways, max out terminations are a good thing as long as we're anticipating it and don't want it to go up above a certain threshold. And in other ways, we've also helped the district providing some RIDIS training. We had a call with the district operations center and really helped how to get familiar with RIDIS, which is a probe data analytics tool, and how to come up with some dashboards that they could be using to actively monitor the interstate along with some of the key corridors. And then one other thing that we've been doing frequently is coordinating with a lot of other players that are involved in this project. So besides District 3, there's District 7, because one of the projects sort of overlaps with Clinton County, and then our top managers that are involved in some of the corridors. And then lastly, we have some remote on-call support that we provide if any emergency arises or if there's a true need for it. And as you can see on the right, this is one of the projects that we are helping with, which is the first one that's listed, the I-75 flap rehabilitation project in Henry and Clayton County. And as you can see in that oval on the image is the construction limit, but we've also included sort of some images of the CCTV locations, other construction projects that have been going on, what traffic signals are in the area, so that way our remote on-call support staff can really easily identify any areas that they need to look at. And then lastly, these are some of the tools that we've been relying on or using to sort of prepare if any emergencies arise or to monitor any specific areas. So in the RIDIS side, we've created a dashboard by county that gives us some speed and travel time data by key corridors, as well as some bottleneck ranking data. And then below is a snapshot of a CCTV that we would be looking at if it needs to be looked at for some emergency. This is I had Bill Gardner Parkway, which is one of the corridors that we had identified. And then on the right is sort of the list of action sets that we prepared that includes the flush plans for the coordinated corridors. But a lot of this, we haven't really had to make any major adjustments since we've implemented the changes that we proposed in our game plan. But out of the few times that we've had, they've been during our weekend remote on-call support, where we've maybe had to adjust the passage time or the max screen to sort of help ameliorate traffic at a certain time, especially when you have a lot of heavy vehicles going through these corridors. But for the most part, everything that we've implemented seems to be working fine. And we continue to get any updates from the districts or our top managers to know if there's any other areas that we need to specifically look at. So that basically concludes my project. I know that I quickly went through this for the sake of time, but if you have any questions, you can reach out to me through that email below, or I don't know if we're going to open it up to any questions.
Thanks, Ramiro. I'll go ahead and open the floor up. We've had the comment text box open on the YouTube channel throughout the presentation. I haven't seen any questions throughout the time. So as long as we don't hear anything, I just want to take the time to thank all of y'all for presenting today. Y'all were very prompt and professional in getting your presentations and everything to us, and we appreciate it. And I think everyone enjoyed learning a little bit about each of y'all individually and what y'all are working on. And we hope to see your involvement continue to grow in ITE. And I speak, personally, that if you want to get more involved next year, please let me know, because we'd love to find a place for you to help out and to see you continue in ITE. With that, we'll go ahead and conclude today's meeting. So thank you, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you again in December.